So Kendrick Perkins provides some harsh criticism towards the Clippers and specifically the two LA stars, Kawhi and PG. Before we get into that, though, please like, subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell if you haven't. But hey, regardless of that, Kendrick Perkins, gives some harsh comments here in regards to these two superstars, Kawhi Leonard. And, he makes a good point where he says, Ty Lue, it's unfair to Ty Lue, because he is a pretty good coach. He has, a lot of good qualities of a great head coach. And, he's made some, wild decisions and things like that. But, I will say this. I agree with Kendrick Perkins in this sense. Ty Lue, never had the opportunity to have both of his guys together. And, that really hurts, because when we talk about playoffs, you want to have both of your superstars then. Even if you don't have much in the regular season, you definitely want them to be available in the playoffs where they can help you and, get you to at least a championship or make it to a finals, or at least of the fact of seeing how far your team can go when everybody's healthy. And Ty Lue never had that opportunity because his two main guys can't stay on the floor long enough for that to happen. And, you hear about the curse of the Clippers and everything like that. It's really starting to, look very dim for the Clippers in regards to that. I'm saying? I'm not going to say they're 100% cursed or something like that. I don't know, but I don't believe in a lot of that type stuff. I mean, people speak on it, but it's like it looks that way. What I'm saying? Regardless of whether it is or not, it just seems to be that way. It seems to look that way. Excuse me, because it's like, wow, the bubble happened, and Kawhi goes out with an injury against Utah. Then Paul George goes out last year with COVID before a big game against the Pelicans, which they could have sneaked in through the play-in tournament. But when we found out, Kawhi wasn't coming back anyway, Paul George would have had to do the same thing Kawhi would have had to do this year, basically, or this playoffs, at least the beginning of the playoffs, which is play without Paul George. So it's like we never really seen their talent come together and their unity come together on the floor where they're this dominant force that a lot of people thought they would be and should be, because both of them are great individual players. They get injured a lot, but regardless, they're great individual players, and Kawhi is a better player, of course, when he's at the top of his game. But at the same time, they're both great individual players, but it doesn't matter if that's not on the floor implemented with the other guys on the court with them, because it's like if they don't build that continuity with the guys they need to, then it doesn't really matter. So it's like their individual talent is not going to get them a championship. It's about the team, and team wise, they have not given themselves, they haven't given the Clippers hope enough to win the championship, because something always seems to happen at the unopportune time. Kawhi or PG gets hurt at the wrong time when they look like they're in the midst of making a run of making history. Because I could tell you that Utah series before Kawhi got hurt, I truly believe the Clippers would have made the NBA Finals if Kawhi doesn't get hurt in that series against Utah, because they go on to beat them, and then they would beat the Suns with Devin Booker and CP3 minus Kevin Durant at the time, and they would have went on to the finals and played the Bucks, and who knows what would have happened. But I still think Kawhi Leonard would have came out on top, because I just think he's a better player than Giannis. But of course, that's neither here nor there, because it didn't happen. So regardless of that, the train ride that Kawhi and PG has been on, it just hasn't been a success factor. It just hasn't been successful. And, regardless of anything, the Clippers fans are left wondering what if, rather than, we won it. You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those situations where you could say it's cursed, not cursed, whatever you want to call it. It didn't turn into success. It didn't turn out to be a championship. So the whole situation's a bust. Now it's like, if the Clippers go home, in this series, which everybody know they are, it's just a matter of when. Where do the Clippers go from here? Do they really want Kawhi and PG back? Will both of them be back next season? Will this team be the same next season? Probably not, you know what I'm saying? Or hopefully it does, but I mean, you have to think in your mind, it's very possible that it won't. And when you think of it like that, I mean, it could be a far gone conclusion. You don't want it to end that way, but at the same time, it is what it is. if it comes down to that, because they didn't ultimately win the championship. They didn't live up to expectation. And, injury after injury is just an excuse over time. It's not going to make things better because the championship didn't come. The players weren't there to help them win the championship. And on top of that, it didn't live up to the hype that was surrounded all about it in the beginning. So with that being said, it's like Perk might have a point, and so do I. But at the same time, the Clippers got to figure out what to do to make this situation better, or they need to start cleaning the house if things are not going to get any better or better their chances of winning a championship. I mean, that's what this whole operation was about, to win a championship. And that's the only thing they've been together for, is to win a championship. As I said before, the Kawhi and PG duo should be a force that nobody should reckon with if healthy. And health has been their Achilles heel more than any other team. I mean, as bad as, other teams might be, the Clippers look worse because, they supposedly had their stuff together, and they had this, really good head coach in Ty Lue, who gave them a lot more, versatility and flexibility in how they do practices and everything, more towards their liking than what they had in Doc Rivers several years ago. And the fact that, it's all a bust now, or seems that way so far, up until they're actually eliminated from the playoffs. It makes Doc Rivers' camp not look that bad, even though I know Doc Rivers is not a great coach. He doesn't make adjustments well. His team's the team that he had win a championship, he had arguably 3 or 4 of the best players put together of all time in the Boston Celtics, and really he hasn't won a damn thing since. So his schemes are just outdated, along with his age and himself. So really he should have been gone a long time ago. But he does have a chance to rectify a lot of things with Philly, but of course we're gonna have to see how that goes. But either way, he wasn't great for the Clippers, but a lot that went down then looks bad on the Clippers now, because even with him gone, there's been more injuries and there's been more mishaps, and there's not been a championship. And like I said before, they have to find a way to win, or it's a bust. And right now it looks like a bust. And, Kendrick Perkins and a lot of other analysts are going to pile on to the situation. They're not going to, demean or delete the situation. They're just going to pile on. So the Clippers got to be ready for all the criticism. And on top of that, they got to figure out what they need to do with this team in order to help them win, because being unhealthy is not the key. And sometimes organizations make, executive decisions or hard decisions when situations like this happen often.